It's the two best words in sports. Game 7. This one is for all the marbles. We'll look at how the Thunder and the Pacers can finish the job and win an NBA championship. And then I've got my top performer for the finals so far. Y'all ready? Let's go. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Control Room. I'm your host, Esrael Johannes. This is it. The last game of the NBA season. Let's get right into it. Through Juneteenth, the Thunder and the Pacers have each won 3 games. And we are now in a Game 7 for all the marbles. Let's start off with Oklahoma City. They've looked strong for most of the playoffs. Obviously, Game 6 put a damper on some of their numbers. Let's look at how that affected all of their averages from some of the stats we saw in the preview of the finals. In the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, the Thunder had 16.3 stocks per game. That's steals plus blocks. A 2.15 assist-to-turnover ratio, 12.7 net rating, and a plus 10.8 plus-minus. And of those stocks, they had 10.8 steals and 5.6 blocks. For the finals entering Game 6, they had 17.2 stocks per game, a 1.33 assist-to-turnover ratio, a 4.6 net rating, and a plus 4.8 plus-minus. They had 11.4 steals and 5.8 blocks in those stocks. However, if you include the Game 6 numbers, for the finals as a whole, their averages dropped down to 15.7 stocks per game, a 1.17 assist-to-turnover ratio. Their net rating is 1.0. And they have a plus 1.2 plus-minus. And they had 4 steals and 4 blocks in Game 6 in Indiana. That means that they had 8 stocks, which is below half of their normal average for the playoffs. Now, some of these games finished well before the end of the fourth quarter. Some of these had to go into clutch time. And that can be a difference for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So let's look at what the Thunder have done in the clutch this postseason in their 6 wins and 4 losses. In OKC's 6 clutch wins this postseason, they've averaged 13.3 points, which is second. They shot 63.9% overall, which is first. They've attempted 5.8 free throws, which is first. They hold their opponents to 28.2% overall, which is third. They hold their opponents' 3-point percentage to 30%, which is fifth. And they have a plus-minus of plus 6.8, which is third. But in their 4 clutch losses, they've averaged only 3.8 points, which is 13th. They've shot 19.2% overall, which is 14th. They only average 1.5 free throw attempts, which is tied for 7th. They hold their opponents to 50% overall, which is tied for 7th. They hold their opponents to 50% from 3, which is also tied for 7th. And their plus-minus was a minus 6.5, which is 12th. It's very obvious that for the Thunder to succeed in the clutch, they're going to have to score, they're going to have to defend. These numbers are the results of their efforts. And with Game 7 at home, it's going to be no different, especially because I really think that this game is going to be tight. Now, what is their biggest weapon when it comes to finishing off teams down the stretch? You have the MVP. That is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he's played well in the finals for the most part. And it's brought his numbers comparable to the rest of the playoffs, but check this out here. In the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, he's averaged 29.8 points on 47.1% shooting overall, 30% from 3, 85.7% from the free throw line, averaged 6.9 assists, and 1.6 steals. In the finals, through 6 games, he's averaged 30.5 points per game on 47.3% shooting overall. His 3-point efficiency has dipped to 28.6%, but his free throw percentage is up to 91.4%. He averages only 4.5 assists, but he generates 2 steals per game. His steals per game in this round, in the finals, are a career high in any playoff round. He also tied his career high of 10 assists in Game 5 against Indiana. And in his 3 finals wins, he averages 11 free throw attempts. But in the 3 finals losses, he averages 7.3 free throw attempts. Have those numbers in the back of your mind when you look at how SGA performs in the last game of the NBA season. But it's not going to be just him in order for OKC to win this championship. He's going to need someone just as strong, and that happens to be Jalen Williams. J-Dub, in Game 5 of the NBA Finals against the Indiana Pacers, had a playoff career-high 40 points and was the 3rd youngest player with 40 or more points in an NBA Finals in the last 50 years. He became the first Thunder player with 25 or more points in 3 straight Finals games since Kevin Durant in 2012 against the Miami Heat. And then factor in J-Dub's 40 and SGA, who had 31 points in the same game. They became the first Thunder duo with 30 points each in a Finals game, and they were the 4th duo ever when both players are age 26 or younger to each score 30 points in a Finals game. So with the Thunder, we know who the head of the snake is. We know who the greatest supporting member is as well. But it's going to take a total team effort against a team that is as loaded as Indiana. And so we have to look at some of the role players and see how they play as well. Let's look at 4 impact players for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Starting with Alex Caruso, he's averaging 10.2 points per game in the finals on 44.2% shooting overall, 40% from 3, and 2.3 steals per game. Isaiah Hartenstein generates 7.5 screen assist points per game, which is points generated from his screens. He shoots 57.9% overall, grabs 6.3 rebounds per game, has a 13.0% offensive rebound percentage, and has a 2.4 assist to turnover ratio. His 7.5 screen assist points are 50% more than Chet Holmgren. And so Isaiah Hartenstein tends to be a better screener in that regard. His 13.0% offensive rebound percentage is a finals high among all players. Cason Wallace averages 5.3 points per game on 43.8% shooting overall, but he is a defensive menace with 1.5 steals per game. That is primarily why he's on the floor. Aaron Wiggins averages 6.8 points per game on 47.6% shooting from 3, but only plays 14.7 minutes per game. So when Wiggins comes on the floor, he's meant to be more of a 3-point sharpshooter. So naturally, throughout the playoffs, in the NBA Finals, we see the same story over and over. Role players tend to play better at home than they do on the road. If you saw Game 5 and then Game 6, you would see it for yourself. But there's one player on the Thunder roster who I think can elevate past that point, and he is Chet Holmgren. He has an offensive presence that has been showcased all year long, but in the finals, his defense has been what's his calling card. The offense has been lacking. So let's look at some of the numbers on both sides of the ball for him. In these finals against the Pacers, Chet Holmgren is averaging 11.3 points on 35.3% shooting overall. He shoots 94.7% from the free throw line, grabs 9 rebounds, has 1 block per game, and he contests 12.3 shots per game. He's got 2 double-doubles in the NBA Finals and 8 throughout this postseason. He leads the finals in contested shots per game, but his field goal percentage has been hurt by shooting only 11.8% from 3 and 0% on the road. At home, he's only shot 2 of 7, which is 28.6%, while he shot 0 of 10 on the road. So if the Thunder are going to win Game 7, not only do they need a big game from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a big game from Jalen Williams, and for the role players to step up, Chet Holmgren has to be able to score the basketball. There is no going around it, because if Indiana continues with the adjustments that they made in Game 6, it's going to be a tight game, and you need all the scoring you can get. And I think Chet Holmgren is capable of that. It's just taken a minute for him to get there. So we still have to see it. Hopefully it happens in Game 7. Now, why does Game 7 at home matter in the NBA Finals? It's kind of obvious, right? You have your home crowd behind you with a chance to win a title, win or go home, last game of the season. You kind of want that. The format for traveling between locations has had some history throughout all of the NBA. There's the 2-2-1-1-1 format that we see through the first 3 rounds, and then as of late, over the last decade, we've seen that in the NBA Finals. But for a majority of the recent history of the NBA, they've used something called the 2-3-2 format. And what those are, if you don't know, the 2-2-1-1-1 format means that the team with home court advantage has games 1 and 2 and 5 and 7 at home. The team that does not have home court will get home games on games 3, 4, and 6. But in a 2-3-2 format, the team with home court advantage has games 1, 2, 6, and 7 at home, while the middle 3 games, games 3, 4, and 5, belong to the road team or the team that does not have home court advantage. So that created a bit of an issue, although the whole point of putting a 2-3-2 format in there was because there were so many cross-country flights between Los Angeles and Boston, LA and New York, and so on and so forth. There's just so many cross-country flights that they tried to reduce the travel by using the 2-3-2 format. That got scrapped in 2013, and the first NBA Finals since the 2-3-2 format that was 2-2-1-1-1 was 2014. Now, in this situation for Oklahoma City, they lost Game 6 on the road, up 3-2. But now they have Game 7 at home. In recent history, that wouldn't have been the case. Teams who are up 3-2 lose Game 6 on the road and play Game 7 at home are 7-3 all time. But the last time that team won was in 1984. And the last time that a team had the opportunity was 2016. And we know what happened that year. Now, teams who were up 3-2 lost Game 6 on the road and then played Game 7 on the road, which would have been the 2-3-2 format, were 0-5 all time. That's why Game 7 at home matters. It gives the team that lost Game 6 on the road, up 3-2, a better chance at actually closing out the series, especially if they have home court advantage. Now, let's look at the last 6 teams in OKC's situation in finals history. The first of the last 6 teams was the 1969 Los Angeles Lakers, who played the Boston Celtics but lost the series at home. Then the 1970 New York Knicks played the Los Angeles Lakers and won Game 7 at home. The 1978 Seattle Supersonics played the Washington Bullets and lost Game 7 at home. That series followed a 1-2-2-1-1 format, and that was because of venue issues, not necessarily because of what the NBA implemented. Then that 1984 team I talked about, the 1984 Boston Celtics, played the Los Angeles Lakers and won Game 7 at home. From 1985 to 2013, we had the 2-3-2 format. But since then, in 2016, the Golden State Warriors, who won 73 games that regular season, played the Cleveland Cavaliers and iconically lost after being up 3-1 and lost Game 7 at home to LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. And now you have this year's Oklahoma City Thunder playing the Indiana Pacers. And we don't know how this series is going to shake out. If you just look at history, I would say that it's on Oklahoma City's side. But Indiana has something to say about it, as they've had all season, postseason, and finals long. You can't count them out, even with a Game 7 on the road. We're going to talk more about them in the next segment. In 49 states, it's just basketball. But this is Indiana. In this year's finals against the Thunder, the Indiana Pacers are averaging 109.2 points per game on 45.5% shooting overall, 35.7% from 3, dishing 23.7 assists per game. They have 15.8 stocks per game, but 17.3 turnovers per game. They are 12-1 this postseason when they have 6 or more double-digit scores, and they're 2-1 in the finals. Let's dive deeper into some of these numbers. Remember what Tyrese Haliburton said at the end of the Game 6 interview? It's about the margins, something we talked about in the preview of the finals. So let's look at these margins again. In wins, the Pacers are plus 53 in bench points, plus 17 in fast break points, minus 3 in turnovers, plus 6 in points off turnovers, plus 16 in rebounds, and plus 28 in assists. But in their losses, they're plus 11 in bench points, plus 2 in fast break points, minus 13 in turnovers, minus 22 in points off turnovers, minus 13 in rebounds, and plus 11 in assists. And they had a plus 10 turnover differential in Game 6. Again, for Indiana's side, it's about controlling the ball, not turning it over, assisting to your teammates, getting everyone involved, and that involves some of the role players that we've seen go off in this year's finals. Let's look at a couple of really, really good performances from some of these role players. We've got Bennedict Mathurin and TJ McConnell. In Game 3 against Oklahoma City, Bennedict Mathurin had a playoff career high 27 points, which is the most by a reserve in the NBA Finals since Jason Terry in 2011 with the Dallas Mavericks. Mathurin also became the youngest reserve ever to score 25-plus points in a finals game since 1970-71. TJ McConnell had 10 points, 5 assists, and a playoff career-high 5 steals, and became the first reserve ever with 10 points, 5 assists, and 5 steals in a finals game since 1973-74. Now in Game 6, TJ McConnell had an encore. Let's give him a little bit more love. In Game 6, TJ McConnell had 12 points on 6 of 12 shooting, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, and did it in 24 minutes, and 8 of his 12 points came in the paint. There's really something about TJ McConnell here, and I know everybody has talked about the energy that he's brought. He's relentless. He's a pest. He's great on both sides of the ball. He's giving Oklahoma City, which is supposed to be a behemoth of a team, especially defensively, a lot of problems. And that reminds me of someone from these parts, such as Dallas. And I'm talking about another J in JJ Barea. These two guys have pretty similar games. And I know the internet has compared them pretty significantly. I have as well. So let's look at what TJ McConnell did in this year's playoffs and how that compares to JJ Barea's playoff run in 2011 with Dallas. TJ McConnell this postseason scored 9.2 points on 53.1% shooting overall, 42.1% from 3, 81.5% from the free throw line, dished 4.1 assists, and had 0.9 steals. However, he has 2.3 steals per game in the NBA Finals, which is a career high in any round. In 2011, JJ Barea had 8.9 points on 41.9% shooting overall and 32% from 3. Of course, the spacing was definitely not as wide as it is now. 79.4% from the free throw line, 3.4 assists, and 0.3 steals per game. But the effect that JJ Barea had on the Miami Heat in that finals series, as well as the effect that he brought against all these teams in the playoffs in that 2011 title run, it's the same thing that TJ McConnell's doing now in 2025 with the Indiana Pacers. Now, he's not the only Pacer reserve who's playing out of his mind, because Obi Toppin is having a career series as well. Let's look at his numbers from the NBA Finals. He's scoring 12.8 points per game on 48.3% shooting overall, 39.4% from 3, grabbing 5.5 rebounds, and averaging 24.3 minutes per game. His points and minutes in this series are a career high in the playoffs. All that being said, it still relies on Tyrese Haliburton. Indiana's success only goes as far as Tyrese Haliburton can take them. And he is a little hobbled with that right calf. He strained it in Game 5. He played well enough in Game 6. Game 7 is definitely going to be interesting. Now, as long as he stays healthy, that's the number one priority. Make sure that he stays healthy. Assuming he's healthy from start to finish, if he plays to his maximum potential, Indiana is going to be very tough for Oklahoma City to fend off. So let's look at what Tyrese Haliburton's numbers are when Indiana wins versus when they lose. In the finals, in wins, Tyrese Haliburton has 16.7 points on 47.6% shooting overall, 40.9% from 3, 6.7 rebounds, 7.3 assists, and 2.7 turnovers per game. But in the losses, he's averaging 13 points per game on 41.2% shooting overall, 21.1% from 3, 4 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 4.3 turnovers. Now, Indiana is 20-1 this season when Haliburton has 20 points and 10 assists in a game. So Tyrese does need to find his shot. He needs to score somewhat efficiently. He can't turn the ball over. That is probably the most glaring stat. As long as he protects the ball, Indiana's going to be in a really good spot, especially because he's the one who's facilitating all the time. Now, who can you lean on if Tyrese Haliburton is hobbled? Obviously, we know TJ McConnell is the backup point guard, and so he can run the offense too. But who is their best scorer? I would argue that that is Pascal Siakam, who was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Pascal Siakam still has not had a 30-point game in this series. Now, granted, all of his 30-point games in the playoffs came against the New York Knicks. He's capable of one, though, and if he has a breakout 30-point game, I don't know if the Thunder can stop him. So let's look at his numbers in this series as well. He's got 19.8 points on 46.4% shooting overall, 34.8% from 3. He averages 9.3 paint points per game, grabs 8.3 rebounds per game, and has 1.3 blocks per game. He had a series-high 28 points in Game 5 at Oklahoma City, which was the second most in the finals in his career, behind 32 points in Game 1 of the 2019 NBA Finals when he was with the Toronto Raptors and played the Golden State Warriors. Now, how do you slam the door on Oklahoma City? Let's say Tyrese plays well, the bench plays well, Pascal has a pretty good game, but the Thunder are still close. They're still tight. It's not like they've been blown out of the water yet. Who is the X factor? It's the same one I had the last time, Myles Turner. In the first 3 rounds, he's averaged 15.2 points per game on 52.5% shooting overall, 40.3% from 3, 64.3% in the paint, 4.9 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks per game. In the NBA Finals, he's only averaging 11.3 points on 36.8% shooting overall, 20% from 3, 40.9% in the paint, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks. His field goal percentage, paint field goal percentage, and 3-point percentage are all a career low in a playoff round. And the 3-point percentage is only a career low if you factor in his rounds where he had 2.0 3-point field goal attempts or more per game. Now we've got one last comparison. What will decide Game 7 and the 2025 NBA Championship? Between these two teams, they can run through a lot of strengths, expose a lot of weaknesses. This has been one of the best finals I've seen in a long time. But if I could pin it down to 1 or 2 stats, I'm going to highlight it in this next graphic because it is the most important stat that pertains to who's going to win the game and eventually win the series as it's played out throughout the series. So let's look at this final showdown between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Indiana Pacers average 36.4% from three. They have a 1.37 assist to turnover ratio. They average 17.3 turnovers. That's the key. 15.5 points off turnovers, 13.5 second chance points, and 38.7 paint points. Oklahoma City shoots 36.1% from three with a 1.17 assist to turnover ratio. They average only 14.7 turnovers per game. And they score 18.2 points off turnovers and 12.2 second chance points and 44.7 paint points per game. Now, if you look at those turnover numbers, 17.3 for Indiana and 14.7 for Oklahoma City, those are the most for those teams in a playoff round this season. The turnovers are the biggest key to this series, to this Game 7. Capitalizing off of those turnovers is also really important. And then cleaning up the glass when you're on defense and you want to end the possession. Second chance opportunities when you miss shots on offense. Those margins are going to matter more than anything else. They tell the story of these finals, as well as throughout NBA history. If you're better off in turnovers, points off turnovers, and rebounds, you're more likely to win the game. And I think those factors are going to decide Game 7 and the 2025 NBA championship. Now, I'm sticking with my prediction that the Thunder will win Game 7 and win the NBA title. So that's where I think this series is going to go, with a Game 7 win at home. Now I've got a top performer who showed up and showed out. I'm going to give him all the love in the next segment. If you've made it this far, welcome to the postgame. Here's my top performer for the NBA Finals so far. It belongs to J-Dub, Jalen Williams. In Game 5 against the Indiana Pacers, he had his playoff career high 40 points on 14 of 25 shooting, 3 of 5 from 3, with 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. And that put the Oklahoma City Thunder up 3-2 in the NBA Finals, and now they're waiting for Game 7 at home to finish it off and win an NBA championship. In the next episode, we will recap the NBA Finals and celebrate who wins the NBA championship in 2025. Now let's look at exactly when this game tips off. Game 7 of the 2025 NBA Finals between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder will tip off Sunday, June 22nd at 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC. So that does it for me. Thanks for being here. Make sure to download this episode, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. Let's hit the rollout.